It started with a whisper, a single promise that no one should have ever made. In the dead of night, under a sky that seemed to hold its breath, a bond was forged that would shatter the very foundation of a marriage. How can one moment of passion ripple through years of vows, trust, and unspoken agreements? Tonight, you'll see what happens when desire defies reason, and when hearts betray themselves in the quietest of hours. Disclaimer. This is a dramatic content for awareness and discussion only. In the heart of New Orleans, in 2017, a seemingly perfect marriage began to unravel in ways no one could foresee. Emma and James, a couple admired for their devotion and social grace, carried a secret wound, an unspoken void in their connection. One promise, made under a fragile moment of vulnerability, would ignite a series of events that neither of them could control. The night everything changed was ordinary at first, yet it concealed the storm about to erupt. Emma had always been the careful one, the one who measured her words and actions against the expectations of the world. But that evening, as the city lights flickered across the rain-slick streets, her heart betrayed her caution. She wasn't alone in her turmoil. James, trapped by routine and an unspoken longing, found himself drawn into a silent gravity that pulled him closer to Emma's hidden despair. The air between them thickened, charged with unacknowledged feelings and the thrill of forbidden possibilities. The soft hum of jazz in the background was almost mocking, a soundtrack to the unfolding disaster. No one knew the full extent of what happened that night. Only fragments of glances, fleeting touches, and conversations that danced on the edge of confession. Their emotions were raw, unfiltered, and dangerous. Every laugh that lingered too long, every brush of a hand across a shoulder, became a thread in the web that would ultimately entangle their lives. The candlelight reflected in Emma's eyes as she struggled between loyalty and temptation, a reflection of a heart torn in two. And yet, beneath the surface of desire, fear thrummed relentlessly. What would happen if the truth surfaced? Could a marriage built on years of love and trust survive a single night of hidden promises and secret glances? Or would it crumble, leaving only heartbreak and shattered dreams in its wake? Emma and James were about to discover the answers, but the night held its secrets tightly, refusing to release them until the very last moment. As the clock inched toward midnight, a choice hovered in the air. A choice that would decide everything. One whispered word, one moment of surrender, could ignite a chain reaction with consequences far beyond anything they imagined. The question remained, could they ever go back to the lives they once knew? Or was the marriage destined to fracture under the weight of a single forbidden night? If this story has gripped you so far, comment, "The night that changed everything." Share this story with anyone who understands the danger of secret passions. Subscribe to Taboo Romance Stories TVC and turn on the notification bell. Stay close, because what happens next will be darker, more heartbreaking, and far more impossible to ignore. The night deepened, and with it the tension between Emma and James grew sharper, almost unbearable. Rain pattered against the tall windows of their historic French Quarter apartment, each drop a rhythmic reminder that time was slipping away, that nothing would ever be the same. Emma's heart raced, not from fear alone, but from the undeniable pull of a temptation she had tried to ignore for months. She had loved James fiercely, yet there was an emptiness, a longing for a spark that had faded into routine. James, too, felt the unspoken weight of that emptiness pressing on him. He glanced at Emma across the dimly lit room, seeing her not as the woman he married years ago, but as someone mysterious, forbidden, and achingly alive. Their eyes met, and in that moment the years of unspoken words and unmet desires converged into a single, fragile thread. One touch, one whispered confession could ignite a fire that neither of them could control. Sound cue. The soft creak of the floorboards beneath their feet seemed louder than a shout, echoing through the apartment like a warning. Emma moved closer, her steps slow, deliberate. Every heartbeat sounded like a drum, every breath a confession. She remembered the promise she had made earlier in the day, a promise born not out of duty, but desperation, a promise to indulge a hidden longing, to confront a temptation she had kept locked away. "James," she whispered, her voice trembling yet resolute, "we can't ignore this anymore." The words hung in the air, heavy with consequence, impossible to take back. James swallowed, his throat tight. He had wanted to deny it, to bury it under layers of reason, loyalty, and the safe illusion of control. But looking into Emma's eyes, he saw a reflection of his own yearning. Every memory of tenderness, every laugh they had shared, now carried a bittersweet edge. Could he betray the vows he had cherished? Or was he already caught in a trap of his own making? The candlelight flickered across his face, casting shadows that mirrored the conflict raging within him. The room seemed to shrink as they drifted closer, the space between them charged with an electric tension that was both exhilarating and terrifying. Fingers brushed accidentally, or perhaps not, sending sparks that neither could ignore. A laugh, a nervous exhale, a shared memory of simpler days. These small moments became catalysts for desire, turning ordinary gestures into acts of transgression. Outside, the city carried on, oblivious. Jazz notes floated through narrow streets, and distant footsteps echoed, unaware that inside one apartment, hearts were colliding with devastating intensity. Emma and James found themselves teetering on the edge of morality and longing, of what should be and what could be. Every heartbeat, every glance, every fleeting touch was a step deeper into forbidden territory. Could they stop themselves? Or was the night too far gone? And then it happened. The first confession, whispered in the quietest moment, the kind of confession that could never be unheard. "I can't stop thinking about you," Emma admitted, her voice barely audible but sharp enough to cut through the tension. James felt it like a physical blow, the truth settling into him with an ache that was both painful and intoxicating. They were no longer two people bound by promises of marriage alone. They were a pair of hearts ensnared in a dangerous, thrilling dance that had no rules. The soft patter of rain turned into a torrential downpour, matching the storm building between them. Minutes passed, or perhaps hours. Time had lost all meaning. Every glance, every movement was laden with questions they dared not voice. Would this night define them forever? Could love survive betrayal? Or was this the first step toward inevitable heartbreak? Emma's mind raced with guilt, but her body betrayed her, leaning toward James despite every rational thought urging restraint. And James, torn between loyalty and longing, realized that a single night of surrender could unravel everything he had ever held dear. The tension was unbearable, a knife-edge balancing act between desire and destruction. They both knew the consequences of what was about to happen, yet the pull was irresistible. And then, just as the storm outside reached its peak, a knock on the door shattered the fragile cocoon they had built, a sound that sent both hearts skipping, a sound that promised the arrival of truth, revelation, and perhaps devastation. Who could it be at this hour? A neighbor? A friend? Or had the universe finally decided to intervene in their perilous dance? The night is far from over, and what happens next will push Emma and James into deeper, darker, and more heart-wrenching choices than you could ever imagine. The knock on the door echoed like a gunshot in the charged silence, making both Emma and James freeze mid-step. Their eyes locked, wide with fear and desire, as if both knew that the intrusion could either shatter the moment forever or ignite consequences beyond imagining. Rain still lashed against the windows, drumming a chaotic rhythm that mirrored the tumult inside the apartment. James's hand hovered near the doorknob, his fingers trembling. Who could it be? And why now, when every second felt like it could tip them over the edge of reason? Emma stepped back, her chest tight, mind racing with the tension of anticipation and dread.
"Should I answer it?" she whispered.
Though the words carried a tremor of more than just fear, they carried a confession of vulnerability, of exposure. Her body, though reluctant, leaned toward danger as if drawn by an invisible magnet toward the unknown. James, torn between protecting her and giving in to the forbidden, found himself paralyzed. Every muscle ached to move, yet the weight of the moment held him hostage. The knock came again, insistent, almost accusing. Emma's breath hitched as she walked slowly toward the door, each step heavy, deliberate, like a heartbeat echoing in the hollow of a cathedral. Her fingers grazed the brass knob, icy under her touch. She paused, listening. Footsteps in the hall, faint but deliberate. Could it be Sarah, James's sister, coming for a surprise visit? Or perhaps a neighbor drawn by the storm, unaware of the intimate chaos within? But a deeper, darker thought clawed at her mind. What if it was someone who already knew, someone who could ruin everything? James followed quietly, his eyes never leaving her. His heart pounded like a drum of war, each beat echoing the words they had both whispered in private, the confessions that now threatened to consume them. He could see the flicker of fear in her eyes, but beneath it, a glimmer of exhilaration, the thrill of forbidden closeness. How ironic, he thought, that desire could both terrify and thrill at once. And yet, they both knew that one knock could change everything. Emma finally opened the door just a crack. Rainwater streamed down the frame, dripping onto the polished wooden floor. A shadowed figure stood in the hallway, coat drenched, hat pulled low. "James?" The voice was hesitant, unsure but familiar. Emma's stomach twisted. It was Mark, James's longtime colleague, a man who had always been charming but had always respected boundaries, until tonight, perhaps. His eyes flicked past Emma to James, a question lingering in the air. I thought I'd check if you guys were okay. The storm is intense." James felt a chill that had nothing to do with the rain. Mark's presence was innocuous, yet somehow it intensified the electric tension between him and Emma. They both held their breaths, aware that any slip of expression, any unintended glance, could betray the fragile, dangerous truth building between them. Mark smiled politely, oblivious to the storm raging inside. "I didn't mean to intrude," he said, but the words sounded hollow, almost like a challenge. He lingered for a moment, sensing the unusual energy, before retreating politely back into the rain. As soon as the door closed, the apartment returned to its charged, almost suffocating stillness. Emma leaned against the wall, trembling, heart racing, the nearness of danger and desire colliding inside her chest. James exhaled shakily, running a hand through his damp hair. "That was close," he murmured, voice low, filled with both relief and lingering tension. Too close. And yet the moment did not dissipate. If anything, Mark's brief intrusion acted as a catalyst, igniting the forbidden chemistry into a full-blown wildfire. Emma moved toward James again, the rain outside hammering like a percussion against their hearts. They spoke without words, hands brushing, breaths mingling, caught in a tension that was electric and inevitable. Every touch, every glance, every heartbeat screamed danger, desire, and moral conflict. Hours seemed to pass in minutes, the storm outside mirroring the tempest within. Confessions spilled, whispers of longing and regret intertwining. "I shouldn't," Emma started, but James silenced her gently, holding her gaze. "I know," he said. And in that acknowledgement, in the shared weight of forbidden desire, a fragile surrender began. They both understood the stakes. They were teetering on the edge of a moral cliff, yet neither wanted to step back. Could love survive the temptation of betrayal? Could passion coexist with promises made under vows of fidelity? As the first light of dawn threatened the darkness of the night, a sound from the phone jarred them. A message. Unexpected. Urgent. Emma glanced down. The screen illuminated a name that sent a jolt straight through her heart. Sarah. The same sister whose protective instincts had always hovered like a shadow over their lives. The message was simple, chilling in its brevity. We need to talk. Now. The room fell silent, heavier than any storm outside. Questions surged like tidal waves. What would Sarah say? Would she know? Had she always known? The secret they tried to protect was now teetering on the brink of exposure. And as Emma and James exchanged a look of sheer panic mixed with undeniable attraction, one truth became clear. The night was far from over, and the storm outside was nothing compared to the emotional chaos that awaited them inside. If this story has gripped you so far, comment "Caught in the Storm of Desire." Share this story with anyone who understands the danger of secret passions, subscribe to Taboo Romance Stories TVC, and turn on the notification bell. The next part will reveal choices that could shatter lives forever, exposing forbidden love in ways neither Emma nor James could have imagined. The morning light slanted through the blinds, cutting jagged lines across the living room floor. But the brightness outside did nothing to soften the storm inside Emma's chest. Her fingers hovered over the phone, staring at Sarah's message again. We need to talk. Now. Every rational thought screamed to ignore it, to pretend the secret didn't exist, yet every instinct, every heartbeat pushed her to respond. James stood behind her, silent, tension etched into his features, waiting for her decision. The air between them was thick with unspoken words, with fear, desire, and anticipation all colliding in a volatile mixture. Finally, Emma typed back a tentative reply, each letter a tremor in her hands.
Okay. When?
She hit send, the vibration against the table a sharp punctuation to the silence. James exhaled slowly, wrapping a hand around her shoulder, holding her close for a brief, forbidden moment. Whatever happens, he whispered, we face it together. But neither could ignore the gnawing dread that Sarah's arrival could tear apart everything. Trust, marriage, and the fragile illusion of control they had maintained. An hour later, the knock came. It was heavier this time, deliberate, and Emma's stomach knotted. Sarah stepped into the apartment, umbrella dripping rainwater onto the hardwood floor. She looked directly at James, a sharp mix of suspicion and concern in her eyes. Emma braced herself, unsure if Sarah already knew more than she should. The sisterly gaze of someone protective can cut deeper than any accusation, and tonight, Emma felt its full force.
James,
Sarah began, voice low but firm. I need to know the truth. All of it. Her gaze then flicked toward Emma, appraising, almost measuring her worthiness, her innocence, and her complicity. James swallowed hard. Words stumbled out, truth tangled with omissions. He couldn't fully reveal the magnitude of their hidden connection, not yet, but he couldn't lie either. There's been tension, he admitted carefully. Feelings that shouldn't have been here, and we've been trying to navigate it. Emma's heart raced as Sarah's eyes narrowed, scanning her face, reading between the lines. How much did she know? How much had she suspected all along? Trying to navigate it? Sarah's voice sharpened. Is that what you call sneaking around? Hiding? Lying to everyone around you? Her words struck like daggers, cutting through the haze of desire that had enveloped Emma and James all night. The tension in the room was unbearable. Every glance, every breath felt charged with consequences. Emma wanted to step forward, to explain, to confess, but her voice caught in her throat. She was trapped in the storm of her own making, caught between loyalty, love, and guilt. James reached for her hand under the table, a small act of reassurance, grounding them both in a fleeting sanctuary before the confrontation erupted fully. Sarah's next words were deliberate, piercing through the fragile calm. I've seen it, she said quietly, almost as if the admission pained her more than it did them. The way you look at each other. I've seen it for months. The revelation hung in the air like a guillotine, each second stretching longer than the last. Emma felt her knees weaken. Every secret she had tried to protect, every whispered word, every stolen glance, had been observed, catalogued, and understood. The illusion of control evaporated instantly. James swallowed hard, emotions boiling over. "We didn't mean for it to go this far," he said, voice low, trembling. "It started as connection, understanding, but we never wanted to hurt anyone, least of all you, Sarah." His eyes sought hers, pleading, guilt and desire warring visibly across his face. But Sarah didn't respond immediately. She took a slow breath, pacing, her mind clearly torn between disbelief, anger, and a complex web of familial love. Finally, she stopped and looked at Emma with eyes that were both accusing and questioning. "And you? Did you ever think of the consequences? The damage?" Emma's throat tightened. How could she explain the inexplicable, the magnetism that had drawn them together despite the stakes, despite their moral codes? Words failed her. A silence stretched, thick and suffocating. Then, almost imperceptibly, the tension shifted. The storm outside that had raged all night seemed to mirror the tempest inside the room, rain slashing against windows as if echoing the chaos in their hearts. In that pause, James reached for Emma again, their hands brushing, electric sparks igniting anew. Forbidden desire still lingered, a magnetic pull too strong to deny even in the face of confrontation. Suddenly, a new message buzzed on Emma's phone. Her eyes widened as she read the words, "I know everything. Meet me alone." The name of the sender flashed on the screen, someone they had thought distant, removed from the tangled web of secrets. But now, the storm outside paled in comparison to the danger that had found them within. The room seemed to shrink, the walls closing in. Every heartbeat thundered like a drum, every thought spiraled faster. What awaited them outside, in the shadows of a world they thought they controlled? Could they survive the exposure of forbidden love, or was this the night that would finally break them entirely? Emma and James exchanged a look that spoke volumes: fear, longing, guilt, and unrelenting desire. The truth was unavoidable. The night had already shattered their illusions. Now they were left with the aftermath, raw, exposed, and trembling on the brink of a revelation that could destroy everything. And as the first rays of sunlight threatened to break through the storm clouds, one question burned hotter than any storm. Who would get there first? And could love ever survive the consequences? If this story has gripped you so far, comment "The Storm of Secrets." Share this story with anyone who understands the power of forbidden love. Subscribe to Taboo Romance Stories TVC and turn on the notification bell. The next moment will decide fates, unravel secrets, and reveal truths no one could have predicted.